Welcome to Comfort Habit number 2. This is Chit Chat 1. Scenario. So, you've been given a very good gift. The gift of time travel. It's not a wish. You only get to do this one time. But you have all the time you need to do it. Alright? So, you want to fix your life. You know exactly where shit went wrong. And you go back as who you are now to fix it. Because most people have one event that fucks them out of their life. Some people have 2, 3, 4 events that fuck them out of their life. So the question is, how far would you go back? Because you don't have a limit of how far you can go back as long as it's within your timeline or within your lifespan. So you can't go back to see dinosaurs and none of that shit. You can only go back to like the year you were born. Or you can go as far back as the year as your parents was born. So that means you can go back to when your mom was a little girl and when your grandmother was a little girl. You can't go any further back than that. Same with your father. So, you can find out, you can't go forward, you can only return back to the present to see how the world has changed when you're done. And you can find out if you can change their life by warning them what's ahead, and it can make their life better or it can make their life worse. So, would you do it? And who would you go back to change the life of? Now, the only sad consequence I could say is that you could also accidentally wipe yourself out of existence by making these decisions. So if you go too far back and start talking to your grandmother, and your grandmother doesn't have your mama, you just wiped out your whole goddamn family line. So you kind of don't want to do that. You know. Same thing on your father's side. You could wipe out your whole family line. So you don't want to do that. Unless you really just have had the worst life ever and could care two shits about your family members. That's always an option. It's always an option. So I have 5 sisters. And my third sister kind of is the reason why my family is fucked up. So, her and my mom. I would possibly go back in time. And I have 2 options. I can make sure that I don't exist so I never have to suffer. Or I can make sure that I can try my damnedest to convince this stupid cow to not make decisions. But these decisions that she doesn't make would kind of unalive all of her children. So, you see the conundrum? But see, if I don't exist, I don't have children. I never have to fucking suffer. I never have to ever feel bad. I never have to have my heart broken. I never deal with the God-given blessedness that sex is. And more importantly, in case you missed it the first time, I never have to suffer due to other people's choices preventing me from actually living the life that I planned out since I was fucking 6 years old. You know. And in taking out myself, and I know this sounds crazy because I thought about it, but when I thought about what would happen to my nieces and nephews if I made my sibling make the right choices, I wouldn't have gotten to enjoy, even though they hate me to death, their existence. You know. That actually might be a good thing depending on how you look at it, but at least 2 of them got their shit right. The other 2, not so much. But if I wipe out myself, what effect would that have on my family? So there's 2 ways I would do this. First, after my oldest sister is conceived and well into being born, I would talk to my father. And I would tell him all the bad things that are going to happen to me. All the bad things. How the marriage is going to become, how they're going to get a divorce by the time I'm 6 years old. All the extra stuff that don't need to be said on the internet is going to come to play. What destroys the marriage is basically what's not going to be said on the internet. But that's one way. I would talk to my mom. Let her know what she's going to do to me and contributing to ruining my fucking life. So I would make sure that I'm not conceived. No. Because if I'm not conceived, then none of the bad shit's going to happen to me. Fuck the consequences because I won't exist. My family's problems won't be my problems because, again, I won't exist. That is my best option. Honestly, truly to God, it's my best option. Because, I'm sure you guys all seen the butterfly effect, So that would be my best option. Because if I don't exist, I can't suffer. There's a high probability that any other person whose life I interfere with could work out more in a worse way than a great way. So interfering with my sibling that totally fucked up the family, who won't take accountability for those actions, raising children to hate me, spit on me, and some other shit, she might make a worse decision than the one she made. So, and I don't want to affect those lives because they didn't ask to be born. I didn't ask to be born. But I also didn't ask to not have a chance to live my life either. So, getting rid of myself is the only logic answer. But before I do that, I would definitely do the one thing that's not the smartest thing to do. I would sit my parents down together because my older sibling, she's guaranteed to show up. I made sure that she's guaranteed to show up. And I would drop this fucking truth bomb on them so bad that they would decide not to have me. Now, the downside effect is, if they stay together, would that change my other siblings' lives? Would that be a happy family of 6 or a happy family of 3? Because it's 7 of us all together. But if my mom would not have had me along with the other sibling that she had, how would that affect my other sibling's life? If her and my father never got divorced and I was never born, my father's pain of loss of love for her would never have happened. No. And I'd be more than willing to make that sacrifice to keep my father alive by just not existing. And then I would come back to the present, and I guess I would just bust into dust. Now, I give you all that scenario because I'm sure that everybody has one family member that if they could go back in time and show this bastard how they fucked up the family and fucked up their lives, they would pray that this family member would learn not to make rash, stupid fucking decisions. The problem with that is, regardless if my family is a happy family without me, I know my siblings. One, if not all, except for my older sister, lives by the golden rule of fuck you, I do what I want. So again, even if I don't exist, would that make their lives better or worse? And I wish I could actually at least go back and view it and watch the time progress so that I could see if the decision to live without me, if my parents would be happy and just have that one child and she be happy and not have to be forced to watch children and forced to do things that she never ever wanted to do, but she still got her career. Because that would make me happy, because then my older sibling would have never had to suffer, and she would have been able to live a great fucking life without having to be burdened by other people and other people's children the same way I was. That'd be great. And I say this is because I don't know if I've ever made a difference in somebody else's life. And I won't know because I haven't had a chance to make a difference in anybody else's life. But that would be my scenario. What would be yours? Because, again, you can only go back as far as your parents being young. You can't go back to your parents' parents. Alright, because you will probably start a conundrum. I know me going back to wipe myself out of existence would definitely start a temporal flux or a conundrum. But part of me would scream out, worth it. The part of me that you currently know. The part of me whose acting career didn't get to take off, police career didn't get to take off because of other people's decisions in the family. They prevented me from making the decisions that I wanted to make. You see, I'm still in this room. You see, my acting career hasn't taken off. And just think about what would happen if I didn't exist. I know 275 of you would be okay because y'all don't know me personally. I do thank y'all for being here, but because you don't know me personally, it would not affect y'all. Now, the question is, would it affect all the friends that I've accumulated over the years in my real life? The temporal flux says probably not, because with the exception of maybe 7 people that I have truly bonded with, let's see, Russell, BJ, Adrian, Courtney, Brandon, Lloyd, David, my cousin Bruce Jr. Okay, so maybe 8 people. 9 if you count my cousin Sherry. Maybe those 8 or 9 people might be affected, maybe not. Because if I don't exist, then I can't interfere in their life. Now let's just say in 20 years, because I'll be like 69, because I'm 49 now. Let's say in 20 years at 69, I had a daughter. But because I went and wiped myself out of existence, she doesn't get to exist. You understand the concept? And that if I had a daughter so late in life, so she like bust her way into the future, you kind of got to ask yourself those kind of questions. So now the question is, as I end this video, would you do it? Would you change everything? Or would you just say, fuck it, let me go ahead and see how it plays out at the end? Thank you for watching. I am Echo Fan Grey Wolf. Be seeing you.